أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
If you don't feel comfortable, just face the back of your friend. Please keep the mask on, and your nose and your mouth closed, so you can go to the الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدعو اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Alhamdulillah, we're honored to have our brothers and sisters here with us. Alhamdulillah. After the sunnah, inshallah, we will proceed towards the back. And inshallah, we'll have a program from here in the gym, inshallah. Inshallah, the program will last approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours. So we may delay some of the Isha for a little bit and finish some of the Isha together and finish the program, inshallah. That's the program.
they all have their own mic.
The main artist on the side. If they want, they can pass around the mic.
Everyone, please settle down and take your seats.
Yeah, good.
We would like to start the program, so if you guys can please settle down. Can you please find your seats, everyone, can you please settle down? We would like to start, so.
You don't mind if I see this?
No, not at all. I don't mind at all.
Yeah. So we're gonna introduce him. Then we're gonna play a video of you.
Yep.
And then we'll
No problem. Take your time. All good.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And I would like to welcome everyone on behalf of ICN Masjid and ICN Youth who helped us organize this event, put it together. So we're really excited for tonight's program, inshallah. I would like to introduce Sheikh Ridwan, who is our religious director and resident scholar. He's a graduate of Al-Azhar University and has attained a doctorate in education from Bryant University. He has been and continues to be a pillar of our community. Alhamdulillah, we're blessed to have him. He's an educator, a leader in the community, and for a very long time, back in the day, he was a pretty good baller at one point. But now, I don't know, how he gets old enough. And Chip Moore is supposed to be here. He's running a little late. He had a prior commitment, so he will be here soon. Now I'd like everyone to please turn their attention to the projector. Wow. What better introduction than having your own highlight reel, right?
Say it again.
I said, what better introduction than having your own highlight reel? You should have been the MVP of the 1960 Dallas All-American game. I watched that Kobe Bryant interview today. He's played in that NBA for 14 years. He won that NBA title. He's out there with the Spurs. Without further ado, our guest, Stephen Jackson.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So the way that we're going to do this is, inshallah, we're going to ask you questions. And inshallah, I'm going to ask a question, more of a serious question, and then a lighter question, and we'll rotate back and forth, inshallah. And once everyone gets here, you will learn and know, inshallah. One thing that, subhanAllah, when we put this program together, I know students, they're not looking at I used to play basketball a lot. And one of my favorite teams was the Spurs, Tim Duncan, and then even the 2003 Spurs, before that, when they won in '99, and Malik Rose and Bruce Bowen, and then really done that goal, Avery Johnson, and then he joined them. So when Stephen Jackson was brought up, we had an opportunity again. I was more than ecstatic to have him there. Alhamdulillah. It's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're able to gather here safely with everyone here. So I want to start off by asking our brother Stephen Jackson, who also goes by the name of Umar Floyd, right?
Yes.
Umar Floyd, inshallah. Tell us a little bit about your childhood and growing up.
Well, growing up was basically a struggle. Growing up in Southeast Texas, Port Arthur, Texas, is a small city about an hour away from Houston, Texas. It was a struggle. Everybody was doing all the wrong things in my neighborhood. And I had a great family to kind of shelter me from a lot of those things, but it was easy to get in trouble and hard to get out of trouble. You know, one of those upbringings, but you know, from the protection of Allah, I stayed in the safe place. I stayed around good people and was able to avoid a lot of the temptations that we get tempted by growing up, and was able to keep a steady course to find a way to get to success.
Following up on that, so a lot of NBA players went through difficulties and challenges growing up, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them with athletic skills which very few people have. So our scholars have mentioned that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests people in certain ways, He opens doors to them in other ways. So can you reflect on that a little bit?
I think we all get tested in our own way. You know, we all have ups and downs, trials and tribulations in our own way to make us better people. And a lot of people run from the ups and downs of life instead of embracing it, because it's gonna make you who you are. It's gonna bring out your character. A lot of people don't know that I lost my older brother when I was 16 due to street violence, and it could have been easily for me to follow the same path as my brother, go down the same road, but I learned from his mistakes. You know, my brother later made a lot of mistakes to end up him living a crazy life, but I think for me, I wanted better. I wanted better for my family, and I knew that there's a saying that say it may storm, but the storm don't last always. And I knew that during the tough times, I knew that the sun was going to shine again. So I'm one person that learned how to enjoy the good times just as much as the bad times, because they both make you who you are. And nobody has made it to success. Nobody has came out of any situation without going through something. Me personally, it's hard for me to have a conversation with somebody that's never went through any ups and downs in life. You know, because I've been tested so many times in my life that it's hard for me to talk to someone who hasn't been tested. You know, and that makes you shine. So all the ups and downs of my life, I embraced them, and I would always say that I make love to pressure because I didn't let it break me. It made me stronger. It made me understand that, you know, each time you go through something, it's a blessing in every lesson, and I made sure I stood on that.
When you say it's a lesson for all of us, alhamdulillah, so embrace the pressure and put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what you did, alhamdulillah. So here in Chicago, so you're going to get a lot of goals, questions, Jordan.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, tell us one of your favorite NBA stories.
Well, I played for Michael Jordan in Charlotte. One of my best performance years was when I played with the Charlotte Bobcats with Michael Jordan. And this is a story that I never told. Well, I think I told it before one time. One day, MJ decides to come to practice, and we wasn't playing well at the time. He decides to come to practice and actually play against us in practice to show us that he was still Michael Jordan. So I'm like, yeah, you Michael Jordan, but you the older Michael Jordan. I don't think you the Michael Jordan that was come fly with me. I don't think you that Jordan anymore. He was like, well, you might think that, but I'm still that guy. So he comes out in practice and actually destroys us to the point where me and him go back and forth. And the only way he could win the argument is by pointing at all the rings he had in the arena. But we had a good practice, and it was real competitive. But for him to come back after being 50 years old and coming back to play with us to let us know how hard we had to play and how we had to compete to be great at basketball, it meant a lot to us, and to be able to say I practiced against MJ and to have a back and forth, trash talking match, it was beautiful for me, but it was better for my team because we came out better after that.
So, Alhamdulillah, as an NBA player, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed you with a lot of things. And many of us, whether the youth or elderly people, we admire and we look for open doors of fame, luxury, lifestyle, and worldly good that comes with what you have and have. But how do you find peace in Islam when you had it all?
I think I've always lived on to whom much is given, much is required. And I've always been a person that gave back. I've always been a person that never really praised material things, but I worked hard for everything I wanted. And I worked hard for everything I have. I'm one of those guys that if I ride down the street, this is way before the NBA. If I ride down the street and I see a homeless person that I can't help, I'll break down in tears. Because I've always known that as much as I'm blessed with, it's so much that I can do for other people. And I was raised that way. My family, my grandfather was somebody who was big in my community. And on on Fridays, he used to make meals for the homeless. So I grew up around a family that always gave back and always wanted to see everybody have. And that's one reason why I take more pride in what I'm doing now with going around the country and serving the communities and serving people that's less fortunate don't have. I appreciate what I'm doing more than any basketball, more than any ring, more than anything I've done in the NBA. What I'm doing now matters. What I'm standing up for the Ummah, reaching and going back to these communities that don't have and speaking and coming out to speak, this means more than any basketball game I could play or any shot I done made. This means made more to me. So I've always been a person that cared about giving back, and I've always stood on to whom much is given, much is required. So if regardless of how blessed you are, we all have a part to play in giving back. There's always somebody that we can help. It's always just asking somebody how they're doing. How they doing might change somebody's day. You see somebody that might need a glass of water, give them a glass of water. You see an elderly lady walking across the street, help her. Like, we all have a part to play. And the best way to get blessed is the best way that I stay blessed is I continue to show Allah that I deserve it. By living by being righteous and doing something for other people that don't benefit me. And that's the only way I continue to stay blessed, by showing Allah that I deserve it and doing something for other people that don't benefit me. It's the best way to do it.
All right, so who's taking the last shot? You got Steph, MJ, Kobe, LeBron, and Durant.
Easy. I would go Jordan first, then it's Jordan or Kobe. That's the two clutch players there. I got to go with them too. I guarantee we're going to win one of those guys. Take the shot. Jordan. You can ask me anytime. Jordan is the best player ever. Kobe Bryant is second, and LeBron James is third.
So, you talked a little bit about the challenges that you faced and the struggles that you faced in the past. When and how did you start learning about Islam, and which ultimately led you to taking your shot?
Well, I started my journey on Islam 7 years before I took my Shahada. 7 years. If anybody look at it, in 2003, when I won the NBA championship, a lot of people didn't notice. But when I got up on the stand to do my interview after, I said, "All praise due to Allah, thankful to Allah." And this was way in 2003. I had no idea that I would eventually take my Shahada, but I was always studying, always intrigued about the religion as a youngster. But as I became a man, especially over the last year or so, I've been doing a lot of studying. I had a friend of mine named Jabril who was murdered in Atlanta, but we was close for like 4 or 5 years, and I actually prayed with him a few times. Actually read the Quran with him a few times, and it started opening my heart to want to learn more, to dig deep and to learn for myself. And I never looked back. Beginning of this year, a lot's been happening with me, standing up for my brother George Floyd and the whole movement and fighting for equality for us all. I just woke up one morning and Allah touched my heart and said, "Today is the day to take a Shahada." And it was the best day of my life. I haven't been the same since, but I knew the day was going to come. I didn't know when it was going to be, But I'm happy at the beginning of this year. I came on back to home, back to Islam. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
That's a lesson for all of us, right? People go at a different pace and different journeys, and sometimes, it takes longer, sometimes people go in, it's not necessarily a linear route. So alhamdulillah, that's the thing, we always have to have hope in the goodness of each other, and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give the information in people's space, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides whoever He wants, however He wants, whatever He wants. Alhamdulillah, that's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, we've heard that there used to be, I don't know if it's true or not, I'm just going to clarify or verify, that people like Mahmoud Abdul Craig Hodges were blackballed because of their Muslim beliefs. Is that true? And has the perception of Islam and Muslims changed in NBA and basketball?
Well, I would even say it's definitely true. It's definitely true. I would even say Akeem Olajuwon as well. Akeem Olajuwon is one of the best NBA players ever, but they don't talk about him much, because he's a Muslim. You know what I mean? But one thing about it, ever since I took my Shahada, that's why I wear my throws on TV, on all the sports shows. I want everyone to be proud to be a Muslim, because I'm proud. And I want everybody to feel that way. And it's definitely been overshadowed. Craig Hodges, Mahmoud, they definitely been blackballed. There's no question about it. There's no way around it. But today is a new day. And with me having the biggest sports podcast in the world, with me being one of the faces of sports talk on all platforms, with me being the face of the biggest civil rights movement ever with my brother George Floyd, I make it known that I'm Muslim. I make it known that I'm proud, and I want everybody to be proud to be a Muslim. Those days of us worrying about things being taken from us or being afraid to wear our thobes, to wear our hijabs and be proud of who we are, them days are over, long gone. We're going to stand up and be proud to be Muslim. And I'm going to make sure I lead by example.
So currently we're trying to get a masjid built, and we're facing a lot of opposition. Some of it are due to, just traffic concerns and things of that sort, but there's been a lot of subtle, like Islamophobia and things of that sort. So what advice would you give, especially the youth who can become discouraged when they see people, talking negatively about Islam and Muslims? How can we respond to that in a positive way?
I deal with it, I think, more than anybody, especially on social media. You're going to deal with it. But people hate what they can't be. You got to keep that in your mind. They want to be us. They want the discipline. People hate that I came home to Islam and I stopped smoking and drinking. Like, they hate it. But they don't know the power of Allah. And I hope one day they can find it. But at the end of the day, nobody opinion matters but the man of high. Nobody opinion matters but Allah. So at the end of the day, people going to talk, but at the end of the day, they hate what they can't be. And that's what it all boils down to. They hate what they can't be. Keep shining, keep glowing, keep being you. But people only, it's a saying that people only throw shade on what shines. They only throw shade on what shines, and we shine. So don't listen to none of the talk. Just understand that people hate what they can't be. And they want to be as strong as us. They want to be as powerful as us. They want to be as righteous as us. But at the end of the day, they only hate what they can't be. So continue to be you and shine being you.
So, how good was Prime D Rose?
Prime D Rose was probably one of the best #1 picks we've ever seen. It's a lot of players that came through the NBA that career didn't go the way they wanted to because of injury. It's a lot of guys, but Derrick Rose is special. For him to have those 2 injuries at the time they had him, and to bounce back and to still be in the NBA today, and it seems like he's still getting better. He hasn't, with those 2 surgeries, he's still one of the biggest names in the league. And I'm just happy for D Rose because he's a testament. That's another reason, a great person to look up to. It doesn't matter what you go through, but it's about what you do after you go through it. Derrick Rose had 2 horrific knee injuries, and people said he wasn't going to be this, he wasn't going to be that. Today, he's still in the NBA playing, just got a new contract because he believed in himself and he stayed focused on his goal. And one thing about it, and I want to tell all the youngsters here, You don't have to look for social media or somebody outside your house to tell you that you're beautiful, to tell you that you're great. Everything you need inside of you to be successful, you have it in you when you wake up every morning. Every morning when you pray Fajr, after that, you should know that you have everything inside of you to be great and to be successful. You don't need nobody outside your house or social media or anybody to tell you you're great. You have it in you already. So when you wake up in the morning and you take that first breath, just know you have everything you need to be successful. Nobody has to tell you that. It's already in you.
One of the things you mentioned here tonight and in other podcasts and other places is how discipline, the importance of discipline, and that it has increased after your Shahada. So in the age of distraction, social media, temptations, discipline may be lacking in all of us. How would you advise us to become more disciplined and to use Islam as a catalyst to achieve us becoming more disciplined?
Well, for me, I can say I did a lot of things my whole life, but just in a short time of after taking my Shahada, I made drastic changes in my life for the better. Because at the end of the day, we know what's right and wrong, right? It's not rocket science. We know what's right and wrong, but it's about how much you are thankful for the life you have and the things you have. Somebody always has it worse. We complain about a lot of things, but really we have nothing to complain about at the end of the day, right? So it's so much temptation in your world and out in the world. But how thankful are you for the life that you have, right? How thankful are you to Allah for being able to wake up, for having a roof over your head, for being able to take care of your kids, for having clothes, for not sleeping outside. If you're thankful for the little things, it'll help you stay disciplined. You know, I know a lot of people who have the world but are not happy. You know, I think if more people were able to appreciate the little things and to understand, like, okay, it's some people that can't walk, can't talk, can't see. We have all those capabilities. We have all our senses. That's enough there to do everything righteous, to live for Allah. So for me, I've been blessed with a great life, but I'm happier now that I'm home in Islam because it's given me the discipline to appreciate the little things I have in life, and it's making me a better person and a stronger person at the same time.
What is your relationship like with other Muslim basketball players that have preceded you, such as Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? How have they been like a spiritual guidance sort of sense, or how have they impacted on how you carry yourself in the NBA service?
Well, Mahmoud and Hakeem Olajuwon reached out to me. So as soon as I've always had a relationship with Mahmoud from the Big Three League. But Hakeem Olajuwon reached out to me, and he told me some of the best words that I needed to hear as being a new Shahada, by telling me that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You know, and another key word he told me, he's like, follow Islam, don't follow Muslims. Because a lot of people will tell you different things and don't even be on their deen 100%. But for me, it was just not basketball. I got my brother Musan right here, 8-0 champ, boxing champ, right there. Let's give him. That's one of my brothers who I met after I took my Shahada in Philadelphia. He's actually been to my home. So I surround myself around those type of guys who I know who was born in Islam, who stay on their deen, who are great examples, and who live by what they say. And you know, I think I owe it to him and the twins. They're big reasons why, you know, I stopped drinking and smoking and changed my life, because I'm starting to understand the religion more, you know, what's permissible and things like that. So I surround myself around the right people that I know that's going to lead me in the right direction and won't allow me to be a hypocrite.
So one of the struggles that we have with people that accept Islam is that we want to give them a lot of information. Mm-hmm. And that's all about sincerity. So how do we balance the support and the space of people that accept Islam?
Well, I think the first part, they have to want to accept it. You know, it can be a lot of times, but like I said, I'm around great people who don't bombard me with so much. You know, like I said, it's a marathon, but with me, I'm open to learning. I'm open to listening. I do my own reading. I do my own studying. You know, I'm proud to say I read the whole Quran during my first Ramadan. I read the whole Quran. You know, I can't say I remember it, but I read the whole Quran. You know what I mean? And but that's from being around my brother Amir, being around Musam, being around Muslim Poppy, being around these guys that's not pushing and pulling, but understanding that I do want to learn, and they're walking me through it. You know, it's not being too much, but at the same time, you have to want it in your heart first. You have to want it for yourself. So it'll never be too much for me, but at the same time, I know what's sticking and what's going in one ear and out the other. You know what I mean? So, but I plan on. I always tell them. I say, one day I will be the smartest and the best Muslim walking. It might not happen a year from now. It might not happen 10 years from now. But every day I live my life to continue to grow. So I can, when I do die, I can have it know in my heart that I live my life as one of the most righteous Muslims ever, and that's my goal.
The concept of tazkiyah, right? Purification of the soul. And none of us are perfect, and none of us are expected to be perfect, but what we are expected to do is to try to improve.
Every day.
Every day. And there will be good days, there will be bad days, and some days we take 2 steps forward, sometimes we take 3 steps back. But to get back up and continue to try to get better. Alhamdulillah, we are all on that journey. No matter if you're born in Islam or you accept Islam, everybody's on this journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we need to be compassionate with each other and help each other and work together towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another question, okay, so alhamdulillah, after a long time the Bulls were very active in free agency. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about some of the moves that the Bulls made?
They made some great moves. I mean, to get better. Obviously, I hate to bust your bubble, but they didn't make the moves to be a championship team yet. Not yet, but big steps to that point. I think they're still a player or two away. They added some great pieces with Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan, great future All-Stars. But I think, they're missing 1 or 2 pieces away, because you got to remember, you have Milwaukee and you have the Nets in the East. And Miami's gotten better as well. So you have powerhouse teams that they have to go through. I just don't see them beating them teams in a 7-game series. But they're closer than they were last year.
It's on the right track.
Yeah, exactly.
So, your work on social justice has truly been inspiring. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and increase you and allow a lot of people to follow in your footsteps. How can we follow in your footsteps and be more involved in social justice in meaningful ways? And even more importantly, how can we learn to consistently be in support for fighting for justice?
Well, let me say this, and this is the best way I could make everyone understand. We all have a part to play, right? For equality, for give back, for taking care of our communities, for taking care of each other. We all have a part to play. It's not one person that can get it done, right? And it's not rocket science. Just treat people how you want to be treated. It's that simple. If you care about the next person, if you want respect, then give respect. It takes nothing to walk by a person and say, how you doing? It takes nothing to give somebody a helping hand when you know they need a helping hand. So I say this all the time. I've done a lot in the last year. We did with 20 states. We had 20 states, 21 states out of 50, and we going to all 50. And we did this in almost shorter than a year. But it's not hard for us to do, because, like I said, it's not rocket science. Just treat people how you want to be treated. I know that I've been blessed with so much, and I know there's so many people around the world that need a helping hand. So I don't mind spending my time with delivering food. I don't mind spending my time with delivering sleeping bags to the homeless. I don't mind giving my time to it, because I know that I've been blessed with so much. So the answer to equality, the answer to end racism is not harming nobody. It's treating people how you want to be treated. And one thing I've noticed in Islam, one thing I know, especially with us in the Ummah, it's our duty to give back. It's our duty to help somebody. It's our duty to spread love. And if Islam was implemented around the whole world, it would be more love spreaded, less drinking, less smoking, because that's what we stand on. So it's real simple. Just treat people how you want to be treated. And if the world stood by this, We would end homelessness. We would end a lot of the stuff that's going on, but everybody don't have it in their heart. But the ones that do have it in their heart to care about the next person, to treat people the right way, we have to do that, and it's our duty to do it. We all have a part to play. Don't think just because I'm on TV and have a big voice that my voice and me giving back is bigger than you giving back. No, it's all the same because we're all taking care of our people. We're all taking care of our communities. So understand that we all have a part to play in equality, and it's not rocket science. Just treat people how you want to be treated.
So, Alhamdulillah, a lot of information and a lot of things happened in the summer of 2020. How were you first introduced to George Floyd, and how did that movement kind of take off?
Well, first I met Georgie, I think I was like 16, 17 years old. We had a 20 plus year relationship, and I met him on a basketball court one day, and I was playing basketball, and a friend of mine came over. He's like, man, I know somebody who looked just like you. Y'all might have the same father. I'm like, yeah, right. He was like, no, he really looked like you. I'm like, yeah, right. So he brought him back a week later, and as he was walking on the court, I turned around and say, man, who your daddy? Because we looked that much alike. We could have had the same father. And ever since that day, we became friends. We called each other twin. And he was somebody that, being successful, a lot of people abuse your friendship for the wrong reasons. Me being successful, they'll ask you for things. He never abused. He was a real friend. And he really protected me from a lot of drama that was going on in our neighborhood. So he's somebody I miss tremendously. The only person I ever called my twin. But it started, it was so many black and brown getting killed by police that we were starting to get immune to it. And when I saw the video, I was actually asleep at home with my daughter, and my mother-in-law called me, sent me a text, and she said, they killed another brother in Minnesota, and they actually live in Minnesota. So when I first looked at the message, I didn't really pay attention to it because it was so many black and brown people getting killed at the time. So I just thought it was another guy that the police had killed. I really didn't pay attention to it. So as I put my phone down, my phone started vibrating. I had over 60 text messages. And I opened one from my friend Mike Denton and said, do you see what they did your twin in Minnesota? And when they said twin, it just registered to me like, is he talking about my actual twin? And I look at it and I just lost it. I started crying and I was real upset because I never thought it would be somebody who I consider my twin, getting murdered for the world to see. And that moment changed my life. That happens so much in our communities, but the first thing they try to do when they murder somebody is try to demean the character of the person they murdered, bring up their past just to make them look bad so it can look like what they did was right. Out of all the people that have been murdered by the police over the years, they didn't have a friend that was an NBA champion. They didn't have a friend that had one of the biggest podcasts in the world. They didn't have a friend who was willing to put everything on the line for him. So my whole thing was, okay, they did this to my brother, but I'm gonna stand up and be his voice. Every time they see me, they're gonna see him. And that was my thing. I wasn't gonna let his death go in vain. But the world seen it. The world was able to see it, and it affected a lot of people, all races. And I think when people seen me stand up in front of the world and my real tears, when people seen me willing to risk my job and my whole livelihood just to put this cop in jail, just to get some type of justice, I think it resonated. 18 countries, all 50 states stood behind me. And, it goes again to say, you never know what Allah might throw in your lap, but you have to embrace it. And I embraced it. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm not, I wasn't an activist before that, and I still don't consider myself an activist. I'm a man for the people, for all people. And the only thing I could do, because I felt helpless, and the only thing I could do was use my celebrity, use my voice, and use my name to continue to bring attention. So hopefully this won't happen no more, and these police can start getting held accountable for what they're doing to us. And like I said, I didn't know that 18 countries and 50 states was going to stand behind me, but I think that the fact that I had some celebrity and I looked so much like him, and I was willing to risk it all for him to get justice, I think everybody felt my pain. And I love being the voice of the people because I know I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna lead by example and do it from the heart.
Opportunities and use your voice. Okay. Many of us don't have the voice of a celebrity, but we do have a voice, and we do have the ability to have positive influence on people. So start there, and once a person starts, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses them and opens doors for them. So I'm sure that when he was starting, he didn't expect it to turn into a huge movement.
Not at all.
So follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We always have to rely on do our part and put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Excuse me, let me say it, but right, just like he said though, you might not have the platform I have, but your voice matters. Your voice matters. You might not be on a podcast, you might not be behind a microphone, but your voice matters. Trust me, your voice matters. Everybody have the part to play. And the only way we're gonna get to where we want to be as a country and as a people is if we all do our part. We all have a part to play, okay? Your voice is just as big as mine. Just make sure you use it in the right way.
You as the NBA star, we know you as NBA champion, and we saw your highlights, but many of us don't know that the path wasn't always easy, right? So we talked about your childhood, but even after you started excelling in basketball, becoming McDonald's All-American, it wasn't like you were a drafted, first round, things of that sort. So could you talk to us a little bit about your journey into the NBA?
Yeah, in '96, after the McDonald's All-American game, I was one of the top high school players in the country. And I was signed with Mike Bibby to go to the University of Arizona. At that time, I wasn't taking school too serious, so this is why y'all need to take school serious. I signed with the University of Arizona. The first semester, I was taking my test up, but didn't pass the test. They ended up winning the national championship at my University of Arizona my freshman year. I missed out on that because I wasn't taking school serious. Right after that, I ended up going overseas. I bounced around from Australia to Venezuela to Dominican Republic to France, and I ended up breaking one of my feet. I broke my left foot. Broke my left foot, and I ended up trying out for over 18 NBA teams. I was the second to last pick in the draft, right? There's not too many people that's drafted in the second round, and really the second to last pick in the draft to play 14 years. I ended up playing 14 years after breaking both of my feet. I was denied by 17 to 18 NBA teams before I got a job. So I kept at it, breaking both of my feet. A lot of things that happened during the course of the time with my family that kind of took me off my path. I remember when I first got to Venezuela, my first day in Venezuela, I was 19 years old. And I'd never been out the country. This is my first time in Venezuela. And as I'm going to practice, it's two cars that stopped right under the bridge. And like I said, I didn't speak the language or anything. And this is my first day there. And as the cars started to move, the reason why they had stopped, a 14-year-old kid had jumped off a bridge and committed suicide right in front of the car I was in. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I see a lot at home, but I've never seen nothing like this. Do I really want to be this good at basketball? Do I really want a career in basketball? Like, cause it scared me to death. It scared me. And I called my mom and I was like, Mama, I've never seen anything like this. She's like, do you know where you want to be? You have a goal, you have to reach your goal. And there's gonna be a lot of things that's gonna come in your way as obstacles to stop you from reaching your goal. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna jump over them? What you gonna do? And with breaking both of my feet, we're getting denied by, just imagine, I was the top player in my class in '96, especially in that game with Kobe Bryant, Jermaine O'Neal, Tim Thomas, all these guys. Some of these guys went out of high school, and all these guys was in the NBA. I got cut by 18 NBA teams before I got my first job. I didn't give up. With injury, with people saying that I wasn't good enough, with people saying I don't belong in the NBA, I didn't give it up because I knew in my heart where I belonged, and I believed in myself. While everybody didn't believe in me, I believed in myself. So 14 years later, I played in the NBA 14 years, won an NBA championship, because I never took no for an answer. And sometimes you can't wait for people to open the door for you. Sometimes you got to kick the door down yourself. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to kick the door down yourself and just trust Allah that everything is going to work out. And that's what I did. But you're going to go through a lot. And I can't say that I know many players that was denied by 18 NBA teams and still kept going to try to get in. So I just thank Allah for the strength and for guiding me through all those tough times.
Desire and trust that things are going to work out. We all go through challenges. Some of us might want to marry somebody we don't end up marrying, want to go to school we don't end up getting into, wanting a job we don't get. But we have to have faith in the Qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's so many situations, being a little bit older, that at that time it feels like the end of the world. But alhamdulillah, you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you keep working, then you look back at that and you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that experience. It was unpleasant, but you wouldn't be who you are today had you gone through that experience. So that's what it means to believe in the Qadr, believe in the Qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's okay, it's natural to say, oh, I don't know why this is happening, but I know you're with me, and I need your help. Then it turns from patience to contentment, then eventually to shukr and gratitude. That Allah, alhamdulillah, I thank you. You are the best of planners. I'm going to put my trust in you, do what I got to do, you're going to take care of it. And that's the faith that we have, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So, who's the best team to never win an NBA championship?
The 07 Golden State Warriors.
That in a secular society, it's normal for people to hide their religion and not to want to talk about it, right? And sometimes people will say that it's unprofessional to bring up religion. Some Muslims, especially after 9/11, have been conditioned to hide their religion even more. I know you addressed this a little bit, but mashallah, you are on the front lines and you're very vocal and active about your Islam, the way that you dress and the way that you carry yourself. What gives you that confidence to break these societal norms and talk openly? And how would you advise Muslims who might be worried about talking about Islam in public settings?
Well, it's just two things. We all know that Allah sees all seeing, all knowing. We know that, right? He sees all. And then again, why love something that you're afraid to show? It's just as simple as that. I love Allah. I love the life He's blessed me with. So why not show it? I want the world to know, and we all should feel that way. I've never once worried about losing anything. Yep, I deal with a lot of hate. I deal with a lot of hate on social media from a lot of people because a lot of people don't have the strength that we have. But at the same time, if you love Islam, there's no need to hide it. You know, and I can publicly say that because, you know, I put everything on the line. But with the way I stand, with the way I embrace it, I've always wore my emotions on my sleeve. And if you love something, you should never be embarrassed to stand behind it. And that's just what I stand on. Everything I do, I'm proud of it. To be able to be here with you guys, I'm proud of it. To be able to say I'm a part of this beautiful Ummah, I'm proud of it. And I stand that way. And I think we all should. Don't ever be afraid to represent something you love. Don't ever be afraid to represent something you love.
So what are the challenges that we face as a Muslim community in the United States, no matter what, is that we're very, unfortunately, we're very fragmented. So you have the basic community, the Arab community, you have the African American community, but as a Ummah, we're supposed to be united and together. So what are some of the advices that you would give, and how can we be more effective and stronger together so that we can represent Islam as it should be represented?
I think a lot of people listen to respond instead of listening to understand. Do y'all get that? A lot of people just listen to you talk just so they can come back with another answer instead of listening to understand. If we could all take the time to listen and not worrying about responding, and that's where everything is really just a conversation. But a lot of people don't want to listen to understand. They want to listen to respond. If we can be those type of people to listen, to understand the next person, and not worrying about to hurry up and reply to get your point across, then we'll be in a better place. But we have to be, our ears have to be open to listen, to understand the next person. And I think that's one thing that I've always been good at. I don't mind listening because one, I know I don't know everything, but I'm open to learning about the next person. And if we can continue to grow in that aspect where we opening our heart and our ears to listen to the next person and not worrying about replying, then we can start getting somewhere. But stop listening and stop opening your ears to people just so you can reply. Open your heart as well.
So tell us a little bit about your relationship with Matt Barnes and your podcast. How did that come about, and what are some of your future goals?
Shout out to my brother Matt Barnes. We started this podcast. We both were doing ESPN and Fox. We were doing all the sports shows, and we actually was making those shows, get a lot of attention. So we were like, man, maybe we need to do our own show. Everybody's watching these shows because of us. We're both NBA champions. We have all the experience. We've dealt with everything, on and off the court that you could talk about. We have experience in all those aspects of life. Why don't we do our own show? And Matt, Matt would going to UCLA and living in California. He had a lot of connections. A close friend of his named Ellen Reckerton, she created a show called The Red Table Talk. Anybody know what The Red Table Talk is with Jada Pinkett? Well, she started that show. And she's a good friend of Matt. So when me and Matt brought her the idea, she's like, well, I have a connection at Showtime and they're looking for a sports podcast. So we pitched the podcast to them, and we were only supposed to do one episode. And alhamdulillah, we award-winning podcast now. We just finished our second season, going on our third season, and it's just been a blessing. But let me say this, one thing about our show, if you notice about our show, we don't bring people on to demean them in no type of way. A lot of people bring people on their shows and ask them questions, uncomfortable questions, to get people to watch their podcasts and their shows. We don't do that. One thing about us, we bring people on our show, one, to get to know them, but also to give them their flowers, and we control our own narrative. We're a podcast. We're not concerned about being first. We're concerned about being right. And I think that's why we have so many guests, because one thing our guests know, if they come on our show and cry, I'm going to be the one to cry with you. You know what I mean? And you can be yourself on our show. So we appreciate our guests, but we also understand that the people that we are, how open we are, allows our guests to be open as well.
So recent events at the Olympics have opened our eyes to mental health issues that are challenges that even the most elite athletes face. Do you think that these issues are new, or during your time in the NBA have people face these struggles? And what are some things that we can, as fans, can do to help support our athletes?
Well, it's not nothing new. You know, we all go through we all have insecurities. We all have our ups and downs. We all go through mental things. You know, and we all second guess ourselves. We all second guess ourselves, but I don't. It's definitely not new. I just think it's been overshadowed because when you're $1 million athlete, they figure that you have to deal with everything and don't show a sign of weakness. They don't want you to be human. They feel like since you make all this money, you should be able to deal with everything, and that's not reality. That's not real. You know, I've seen a lot of players in the NBA that got drafted in the first to second round. You know, and they were great regular season players, but the emotion and the tension of the games in the fourth quarters, you know, those big, when the crowd is screaming, they can't make a shot because it's mental. You know, I think a lot that I had the strength to focus in those times, but a lot of people doubt themselves. You know, you're playing in arenas with 30, 40,000, and you got fans that are expecting you to get 20, 30 points, and you having a bad game. They can be hard on you on social media. If you read those comments, you can really get down on yourself. So, and that's why I tell all the youngsters in here, you got to believe in yourself first. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know every morning you wake up that everything, the greatness is already in you. You don't need nobody on the outside to tell you it's great. So for athletes, it's hard because you hear the good and bad. You know, they love you one minute, they hate you the next minute. But at the end of the day, when you're secure in your religion, when you know who's protecting and guiding you, and you comfortable with who you are as a person, none of that can affect you. And I think that's why I have such strong skin, because I know who's the beginning and the end for me. I know where my blessings flow, and I know where all this come from. And there's not no human that gives me any of these things. So that's how I have a bulletproof shield, the armor of Allah on my body, because I know who controls my life.
I know you're affiliated with the Big Three. If you want to talk a little bit about that, go ahead. But also, are you looking to get into the NBA? Do you have any future goals as a GM or a coach or assistant coach or something like that?
Definitely, I want to be the first, coach on the sideline winning the throw. You know, I want to represent for the Ummah as best as I can. I have so much education in basketball. I won a championship on every level, so it's my right to give back to the game. You know, it's so many people that never had a chance to talk to an NBA player growing up. I didn't, but I know what that would have done for me. So I want to be the guy to change the mold. I want to be the first coach who embraces Islam the way I do. You know, and being able to stand on the forefront. You know, even with the Big Three, it's not as big as the NBA, but I coach on the sideline with my throws. I'm the first to ever do that. So the best way that I can represent our religion, the best way I can represent the Ummah, that's what I'm trying to do in all aspects. There's no ceiling on where I want to go. You know, there's no ceiling. I want to continue to be the best I can, and whatever Allah has for me, I want to embrace it and go as high as I can. You know, I'm never putting myself in the box. I know it's a lot of things that I can do, but I just want to do it the right way.
I'm not going to ask who they are out of privacy for them, but what aspects of Islam is attractive to them?
Well, it's the truth. The truth. Knowing who we are, knowing where we come from. I think, for the most part, especially with a lot of black athletes, as they're growing up, they're understanding that, there's no way that we should stand behind a religion that was taught to us by people who had us in chains. That's a big part of it. It's for a lot of guys, but then again, the discipline in Islam is attractive to a lot of people because a lot of people want to continue to grow. They want to continue to get better. Like I said, it's so many basketball players that's asking about Islam for the simple fact that they've seen the changes I've made. And if I can make these changes, it inspires a lot of people. And the basketball players are just starting to understand a lot of things for themselves, starting to read for themselves. You know what I mean? And I think that's why it's starting to pick up in basketball. Like I said, I'm definitely a leader in that space because a lot of people seeing the steps I'm taking, and and how I stand today as a proud Muslim. And I think a lot of guys, it's attractive to a lot of guys because they love the discipline. They see the growth. And if people can see, like I said, a lot of basketball players see the changes I'm making, it inspires them because they're like, not him, no, not him, not the guy that was in the stands, not the guy running the stands. So they see the changes in me, and it's inspiring to a lot of guys. So, like I said, I want to continue to lead by example, and I want to continue to inspire so I can show, everybody how beautiful this religion is.
And inspire other people to learn about Islam. So one of the earliest companions, Zubair ibn Awwam, and he's like, one of the things he said, there's a time that there were 6 other people in the world that were Muslim, and I was one of them. And they asked him, like, why did you become Muslim? And he was said it wasn't necessarily based on the theology and things of that sort, but he said, I knew the Prophet ﷺ, and I knew Abu Bakr, and I knew that these 2 people would never gather in misguidance. So subhanAllah, you and I, we all have the ability to influence those people that are around us. So if they see us implementing Islam, and that Islam has a transformative power in our lives, that we're different because of Islam, whether we say it or not, that's going to have an impact on other people. Alhamdulillah, we've seen this here, and we all have the ability to do that, inshallah. Last question from my side, then we'll open up our questions and answers from the audience, inshallah. What is the legacy you want to leave behind as a Muslim?
Just how proud I am. How I came in this religion with wearing it on my chest, with not, with representing everywhere I go. I think I'm somebody who, like I said, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, but I want to leave a legacy as somebody that always cared about doing things for others that don't benefit me. I want to be that athlete that the youngsters can say, I don't have to shy away from being Muslim or wearing my throws. Look at Steven Jackson. He stood proud. He was at the height of his life and took his shahada. When I took my shahada, I can honestly say that I was at the height of my career, with everything I had going on. And I took my shahada around that time for a reason, So I just want to leave a legacy of everybody knowing how proud I was to be a part of the Ummah and how Allah has affected my life dramatically in the changes I made.
Everyone for being here. Jazakallah for the board, the Zakia, the Asim, mashallah, for the questions, for responding. If other questions, I don't want to ask them, but they're able to often come up with them. To everybody, it's a collective effort, and we're very, very proud and honored to have our brother Umar and Steven Jackson, and all of you here, and we pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to explain the barakah in this event. I'm going to turn it back over to Zayn, and inshallah, we'll explain the rest of the program.
So the next 15 minutes or so, we'll ask questions from the audience. And also, we have some questions here that came from online streaming as we're live streaming this. The one question that came up is, when did you have the realization that Islam is the real deal?
Well, I can say this in all honesty.
I knew it was the real deal the day I took my shahada, after the way I felt after I took my shahada. They say you get a new slate, but I actually felt that way. I haven't been the same. My mind, my heart, my everything was different. So the day I took my shahada and having a new breath of life, that's when I knew it was the real deal.
Came up with, why does Islam resonate more to African American players rather than white players in the NBA?
That's a good question. Well, it goes back to what I said earlier,
Especially a lot of black players, they're starting to get to the point where we're learning for ourselves, and why were we standing behind a religion that was taught to our ancestors by people who had us in chains? It's no reason to stand behind that. We want to learn for ourselves, and one thing again, our ancestors was taught everything white was right. You know, that's the way we was taught, and we know that's not true. So I think as we get older, we tend to learn for ourselves. Um, we all want to be a part of a brotherhood that's positive, and I think with learning that and growing and learning for ourselves and understand, you know, the things a lot of stuff that we were taught were wrong. It leads a lot of us to Islam because we know this is where the truth is.
Oh, it's amazing. Do you have any questions from the sister side that we want to ask? Yes.
Did you ever feel like when you weren't Muslim that you felt like it wasn't right and then you knew that there was something else out there?
No. Once I took my shahada, no question. I knew where I was supposed to be. It was just a matter of time. I was just waiting for Allah to give me the go ahead. It's always been in my heart. It's always been in my mind. But I was just waiting for him to tell me when it was the day to come home. And I never second guessed it. Never will. That's a great question.
From the sister? Yes. Can you repeat the question? Have you been to Hajj or Umrah before?
No, not yet. I can't wait to go. I can't wait to go. Thank you. I can't wait to take on.
Any other questions? Yes.
Say it again.
Have you ever played any NBA games while fasting and all about?
No, because you know I've been out the NBA for maybe 6, 7 years now. But this was my first Ramadan, and I fasted the whole month. Didn't drink water or anything, and it was tough, but I was able to do it. But my manager will tell you, I travel more than anybody. Of course, the 30 days, I'm probably home, probably 4 days out the month because I'm traveling so much. So it was hard to stay fasting during that time, but I did it, you know. And anything you put your mind to do, you can do it. We all have the strength. You never know how strong you are. To strong is your only option, right? So my one of my close friends who actually I've educated a lot on Islam is Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving had one of his best years this year, and he fasted while he was playing in the NBA the whole month. It's a couple guys that did, even Enos Cantor. So it can be done, but at the end of the day, anything you put your mind to, sweetheart, you can do it. Anything, you can do it.
Who's your favorite player right now?
My favorite player right now is probably Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant.
They're starting to play the gold medal nicely right now. What was one of the most hardest changes you guys make in your teams?
I think the hardest thing for me was getting my family to understand that this is something that I want to do for myself. I'm not doing it for anyone else. You know, my family, you know, a lot of my family didn't understand it because they grew up being Christians and going to church my whole life. And, you know, at one point I was worried to what my family think, but my mom is such a beautiful person that she supports everything I do. And she took the time to understand and have a conversation. So the toughest part was worrying about my family, but at the end of the day, when you're doing it for you and to glorify Allah, none of that matters. You know, you get through that part of it quick, but that was the hardest part, worrying about what my family would say.
You had a question? Who had a question? Oh, what about family? Any other questions? Yes.
What are some of the biggest challenges you faced since you converted? And also, how do you feel about the Dove chances this year?
The Well, I answered the Dubs question. The Warriors don't have a chance to win the championship this year, unless they make another trade. They got a great team now. If they can get rid of Wiggins and get another big name player, I think they have a good chance. Wiggins for Bill would be awesome. That'll be great. What was the first part? Just people understanding that people do change. You know, I've heard I'm a fake Muslim that I wear dresses and all this stuff. So you got a lot of people that won't understand. You know, long as you continue to grow. I just don't. It's a saying that I live by. A man that thinks the same at 30 as he did at 15 has wasted 15 years of his life. And I want to continue to grow. So I deal with a lot of hate, but people don't understand my growth and where I used to be to where I am now. And one thing about it, I love who I am now. I love the place I'm in now. I love the religion I'm standing behind now. So the toughest part is I hear from a lot of people why he changed, why he did this. But at the end of the day, I know why, and I remain strong that way.
Right. So you said that Kobe was your top three, top player you've ever, of all time, right? So what was your favorite moment with him? Or what was your favorite Kobe moment?
My favorite Kobe moment was it was a sad moment for him, but it was a good moment for me. But just the way we embraced each other. It's an article that shows Kobe crying and me embracing him after they was on their way to four-peat. And we beat them with San Antonio and stopped them from four-peat in the year we won the championship. But the moment where I embraced him, it wasn't just about me winning and him losing. It was about two kids that knew each other since 13, 14 years old. Now look at us on the biggest stage of basketball in the world playing for an NBA championship against each other. I think that moment, to know where we both came from, to be able to both be on that platform at the same time, that article, that's my best moment with Kobe. Now, my best moment watching him play was watching him after he tore his Achilles go back in the game and still shoot his free throws. That said a lot about Kobe, the will he had to win and how dedicated he was to the game. But those two moments are two things I hold dearly. Besides us having him on our show as his last interview, I think that was big as well.
Speaking of Kobe, I'm his biggest fan. So I wanted to ask you, after his tragic death, how did that impact you, and how did you become closer in Islam because of that?
Well, that devastated me because to me, Kobe was a superhero. Like I said, as teenagers, he knew he was going to be this good. He knew he was going to be dominant. When we were 13, 14, Kobe had a kill list of all the top players that were ahead of him in our class. And he was like, when I play those guys, I'm going to destroy him. So for me, it devastated me because, like I said, he was a superhero. I didn't think that could happen to Kobe Bryant, And for me, I have daughters as well, So, it makes you appreciate what you have, and you have to live every moment of your life like it's your last, because you never know when it could be your last. And I think that resonated to everybody around the world. You know what I mean? Appreciate the time you have now. Appreciate the people next to you. Tell a person that you're around, you love them. Don't go a moment without showing your affection to the people you love, because you never know when you're gonna get another opportunity to tell them you love them.
What was your welcome, I guess, to the NBA moment, when you were a rookie? And then also, what is your favorite All the Smoke podcast episode?
My welcome to the NBA moment was my first NBA game, like I said, after being cut by 18 NBA teams, by breaking both of my feet, and getting cut after I got drafted. My welcome to NBA moment was my first game that I actually signed with an NBA team. I was able to start for the New Jersey Nets, my first NBA game. And running through the tunnel, as I'm running through the tunnel, I start to see the lights and I hear all the people. And as I'm running out, I just start crying because like everything I've been through, I never think I'd have made it to that point. You know what I mean? Like I said, being cut and breaking both of my feet, I never thought I'd get the opportunity. So to be able to start my first NBA game, that was my welcome to the NBA moment. My best podcast of all the smoke, the best episode was probably Kobe, because he was, like I said, we looked up to him, and to get an opportunity to interview him, to see where he was in his life. He was peaceful, you know, and the passion he showed on the basketball court, he was showing it to life after basketball. Won an Emmy, you know, he won an Emmy, and he was really digging into making women's basketball, you know, just as big as men's basketball. So the Kobe episode it meant a lot to me, because he wasn't just somebody he was interviewing, he's somebody I grew up with, you know, and to see how great he ended up being, it just meant the world to me.
Can you share with us your favorite Tim Duncan story? Tim Duncan.
Oh man, I got a funny one. So, Tim Duncan loves playing paintball. A lot of people don't know that. I know he's 7 foot, but he knows how to hide good, right? At 7 foot. So this is the story. So we're at the beginning of the season, and Greg Popovich tells us not to go play paintball because he don't want anybody to get hurt before the season, right? Do not do it. This is Tim. Oh, we're going anyway. We're going anyway. So we end up going play paintball. And one thing about me, I'm not afraid of anything. You know, I feel nothing but Allah. But I've been like this. You know, I'm not scared of nothing. You know what I mean? And Tim knew that. So it was a game where we had to get the flag, right? You have to go in the middle and grab the flag. So as we're playing, you know, Tim like, Jack, go get the flag. So there's Tim shooting and they're shooting. So I actually run to the flag, but I have to go up some steps, right, to get to the flag. So as I'm going up the steps, my mask, I have a mask, and it fogs up to where I can't see, right? So the whole time they shooting at me and I'm trying to duck. So as I go up for the flag, my mask fogs up and it slides up to where I can't see, and I slip and I hit my mouth on the steps. Boom, right? Blood is flying everywhere, right? My lips just getting swole by the second, right? So I try to put the mask back down just so I can run down and tell them that I failed and messed my face up. But the whole time I get down, they shoot me. I'm like, no, time out. And they steady shooting me, right? So they see all the blood running down my shirt, and they think it's paintballs, but it's actual blood, right? So I tell Tim that my mouth is bleeding, and Tim pulls my mask up, and my lip is just swollen, it's bleeding everywhere. And Tim like, how am I gonna tell Pop that this happened at the grocery store or something like that, right? So we get to practice the next day, and I walk in, and Tim is standing to the left, and Pop looks at me. He was like, what? Hold up. He looked at Tim, and Tim just got his head down. I told y'all not to go play paintball. And this funny story, but he told us not to go, and I ended up getting hurt, you know, with a big old lip. But he ended up making us run like lines for it in practice that day. But Tim was one of the best guys ever. He really told Pop. He stood up for me and told Pop that it was his idea. But I wasn't gonna tell on Tim. I was gonna say I fell at home or something, but I wasn't gonna give the team up. Who I hated playing against? I hated playing against Ray Allen because he never stayed still. You know, I got to chase him around pick and rolls all game. I hated to play against him. I loved him guarding me because he was easy to score on, but I hated to play against him because he's one of those guys that never stopped running. No, that was Al Harrington. I wasn't on the team then. That was the year before me. That was the year before me. Nah, but ain't nobody gonna push me away. I'm guarding him. Yeah, I'm guarding the best guy. Paul Pierce was tough. I think Paul Pierce was the evolution of guards posting up. You know, he started the post game, you know, for guards. And Paul Pierce is definitely one of my favorite players and somebody I looked up to.
You got your hand on your power. What's your favorite play that you've done in your career?
I hit a couple buzzer beaters in the NBA. I think what my favorite play was in Game 6 of the NBA Finals. I hit 3 threes in a row to 3 threes in a row to ice the game to win the championship. I think that was my biggest moments.
When fighting for justice, it's easy to let our emotions get the best of us and feel burned out. How can we keep fighting but maintain our emotional balance?
It's hard because it's hard to not be emotional, because like I said, your emotion lets people know that it's real. So, it's hard to not be emotional. That's a tough question because, being the voice of so many people that don't have a voice, it brings me to tears. You know what I mean? It brings me to tears a lot. And when I'm standing up and speaking for our people, you want to show strength. You want to show you're strong. You want to show that you can deal with everything. But I think showing emotion is necessary because people see your real pain. They see your real feelings. And that's what the world needs to see. Excuse me, that's what the world needs to see. We don't need to be sugarcoating anything. We don't need to be hiding our feelings. We don't need to hide our tears. We need to let people know we really hurt. We need to let people know we really love. And so I think showing emotion is a big part of getting to where we need to be. Don't hide your emotion. It's good to show them.
We know that you mentioned you were drawn to Islam for a long time before coming to Shahada. What drew you to something that was barely talked about or had many negative stereotypes?
My friends and the people around me. Most of my friends were Muslim. A lot of people that I hung with, that I grew up with were Muslim. And just to see the dedication, the unity within their families, the support they got from their families, it was very attractive to me. Just the brotherhood and the sisterhood and how they stood behind each other and supported one another. That was big for me because I'm somebody who, I'm big on family. I'm big on showing love and giving respect. And I'm big on unity. And all my friends that were Muslim showed me that growing up. And it's something that I fell in love with.
We're going to delay stall our shop for a little bit. Usually for 10, we're going to delay it for a little bit so we can have a little bit more time to chat.
We're going to do a few more questions, and then inshallah we'll have some time for people to come and take pictures. Any other questions for me?
How many NBA teams have you played for?
Played for?
Yeah.
Good question. 7, if I'm not mistaken, 7 NBA teams. 4. Yeah, I will. I played my first year with New Jersey Nets. I played 2 years with San Antonio. I played 1 year with the Atlanta Hawks. I played 2.5 years with Indiana Pacers. I played 2.5 years with Golden State. I went back to San Antonio I went to Milwaukee. No, excuse me, Charlotte. I went to Charlotte Bobcats. I went back to San Antonio for another year. I went to Milwaukee for a year, and I went to the Clippers for a year. I love San Antonio because I won a championship there.
Since you became Muslim, have you been asked less to be on ESPN?
Say it again.
Since you became Muslim, have you been asked less to be on ESPN?
Asked less?
Asked less.
Have I been asked less to be on ESPN? You know what? To be honest with you, I stopped working with ESPN 4 years ago because they didn't want to give me my worth or what I knew I was worth. They didn't want to pay me for what I was worth. So I stopped working ESPN 4 years ago. I work on Fox now. And the reason why I work on Fox because I can wear my throws and I can be me. And they don't ask me to do anything that I wouldn't want to do. But at this point, if it's anything that's embarrassed of me being a Muslim, I won't do it. Regardless how much money it is, where it is, I don't care where it is. If I can't be me, if I can't represent my religion, then I don't want to be a part of it.
Skip Bayless or Stephen A. Smith? Who's more annoying?
Both. It's a tie. They're both annoying.
Who was your favorite player that you played with?
Playing with my favorite player to play with. I'm gonna answer that in two different questions. The best player I played with was Tim Duncan. My favorite player to play with was Baron Davis. He's my brother. We've been knowing each other since teenagers, and we talk every day. Baron Davis is one of my best friends in the world. So playing teammate wise, he is, but the best player I've ever played with was Tim Duncan by far. Right there.
The first time you won an NBA game, who did you play against first?
The first time I what?
Won the team won an NBA game, who did you play against?
Stephon Marbury, my first team. It was Stephon Marbury. My head coach was Byron Scott, and we had the #1 pick in the draft was Kenyon Martin at the time. And we both were rookies that year.
Okay, 2 questions. Sister in the back. Which one?
What advice would you give us to make Muslim Ummah stronger, and what has been your greatest motivation?
Say that again.
What advice would you give us to make the Muslim Ummah stronger, and what has been your greatest motivation?
I didn't hear the second part, but I heard the first part.
Motivation for the second one. What would motivate you more?
What would motivate me more?
Yeah.
I think to make our religion stronger, we got to continue to be proud of who we are. You know what I mean? It don't matter what people say. It don't matter what happened in the past. As of today, we have to stand and be proud of who we are and what we represent, because we represent righteousness. We are to be honest, the Ummah and our religion is the answer to equality. Our religion is the answer to all the things that's going on in this world. So if we continue to stand up and be proud of who we are, support each other in any form of fashion we can, and treat others like we want to be treated, that is the answer. But we have to be proud of who we are, because when other people that's not in the Ummah see us proud and see us loving and how beautiful Islam is, then that's when they'll come home. But we have to show them that we're proud and we stand on love and what we stand on. But we have to be that way first before anybody else can.
So I have 2 questions. My first one is, what is your advice for upcoming athletes and entrepreneurs who want to make their name known and be as your industry? And my second question is, like, when you were like around your teen years and trying to make your name known, what was difficult and how did you get so good at what you do?
Okay, well, one, in order to be successful and reach your goals, one, you have to believe in yourself. 2, you have to do the work. When you believe in yourself and you work hard at anything that you want to do, you can accomplish it. I'm looking at you right now, and I can tell that you're a smart kid. And I'm looking at you, and I know that anything that you put your mind to do, you're gonna do it. Just believe in yourself first. What was the second part?
So like during high school and like trying to make your name known, what's your advice? Like, how did you train? How did you get good at basketball?
Well, one thing about basketball, I always played because that's all I really had. You know, to escape the gang banging and all the drugs that was going on in my community, basketball was my safe place. So I stayed playing basketball. But I think today, it's so many ways. We have social media. You know what I mean? That's big. You know what I'm saying? Promote yourself on social media. We didn't have that. If I had that as a kid, I would have been, way more known than I am now. So, but you have so many different avenues today to show your skills, to get behind and take steps to where you want to be 10 years from now. You know what I mean? And social media is a big part of it, but use it the right way. You know what I mean? To promote yourself in the right way, to make sure it's beneficial and not artificial. You know what I mean? But just believe in yourself and stay focused, but you have to do the work at the same time.
Are you an offense player or a defense player?
Good question. If you know anything about me, I was one of the best two-way players in the game. I played defense and offense. And reason why I did, because that's both parts of the game, right? So I grew up a scorer. I could always score. When I got to San Antonio, Greg Popovich told me, if you want to be a great player, if you want to have a long career, You have to play defense. So once I started playing defense, I became a great player. And people have to understand that basketball is two parts of the game, offense and defense. And the best players play both ways. So you have to take pride in both.
Running lines. I used to hate running lines.
I did. But I used to hate running lines. You know what that is? Run to the line, go to the next one. It's the most annoying thing in the world because the lines are not going to move. How tired you get, I don't care how tired you get. The line's still going to be there, and you're really not running to anything. You're just running back and forth. But that was a part of getting in shape. I think, especially in the gym, it's not too many ways you can run around. But I hated running lines, but we had to do it.
All right, last question. It's a little bit.
Say that again? The best team was the Golden State Warriors because it's one of my brothers. The best team I actually played on was the Spurs. But as far as bond and brotherhood and friendship, the Golden State Warriors. Let him get his last question because he raised his hand for a minute. Yeah, right. No, right in front row. Yeah. Well, growing up, it wasn't too many things going on. I just wanted to do something positive. I didn't know how good I was at basketball. I didn't know I was going to be good. My uncles and cousins all played basketball, and when I was born, they just put a basketball in my hands, and I just kept playing, and I kept playing, and I started getting good. I think when I was 5 or 6 years old, I played in a game at the local YMCA on this team, and it was my first actual game. The end of the game, the score was 44-42. I had 40 of our points, and I was just 5, 6 years old. So that's when I knew maybe I could be good at basketball.
Inshallah, those of you that like to stay, what we're going to do is we're going to request you to come around, do some feedback here, and then you can take a picture and say salat individually. But right now, because there's people from outside the community and outside this program coming for salat, so we don't have respect time, so we're going to pray salat now, inshallah. We're going to give you that, and then a couple minutes after that, we'll pray salat, and then we'll come back. And no more questions, but you can take pictures, inshallah, as we come back. Let Aiden give you that.
Thank you.